Our next guest is launching an investigation into insider trading on prediction market platforms. Joining us now, Congressman James Comer, Chairman, or I can just call you Congressman James. Instead of saying hi to us, Rob, put the guy's last name. Chairman of the Oversight and Reform Committee. It's good to see you, Congressman.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking about AI earlier, and the president wants to go, full bore, or at least. We seem to have already done that with the prediction markets, and we have talked about if there was literally a Wild West scenario at this point. I don't know what's legal. I don't know what you're allowed to do. I don't know what you're allowed to wager on at this point. The horse is out of the toothpaste is out of the tube, and we're trying to. The horse is out of the tube. Yeah, the eggs have been scrambled. What are you looking into, and how much egregious stuff are you finding?
Well, you're exactly right, Joe. It's the Wild West. There are no rules. You and I may think we know what's ethical and what's not, but there's no written law against it. This is so new, and this has never been a problem until a few months ago. It really amplified when you had the situation in Venezuela,
Maduro.
And now we know there was an inside high-level military person that made a significant bet, made a $400,000 profit when the raid happened in Venezuela. So there's a concern now that members of Congress, members of the president's administration, any type of government employee could use basic insider knowledge and make huge profits on anything government related. So we want to not only launch investigations to see how widespread this has been thus far, but also to prove a case that we've got to pass some type of legislation. And I think it wouldn't be too much to ask to say members of Congress can't participate in the predictions market, nor can government employees or people in the president's administration.
It's got to go further than that, though, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Doesn't it? Who's in charge?
I know, and so I can't do it, but you're my golf buddy, and I say, okay, Joe, hey, listen, I think that somebody in the Epstein investigation is going to get indicted tomorrow. I would have inside information on something like that. If I told you, if the language isn't written correctly, then I didn't break any law. You made a bunch of money, and you can take me out to eat or buy something for my business. I mean, there's so many loopholes, as you know. There are always unintended consequences when you pass legislation. So anytime you set up a regulatory framework, it's very difficult. Just like with cryptocurrency, members of Congress all agree that we need to have regulations on cryptocurrency. There's just not an agreement on how to do that.
Or
Same with AI.
Right,
Same with
that's
AI.
what we were talking about earlier this morning.
Right. So you've got cryptocurrency, AI, and the prediction market, all relatively new things where there's overwhelming agreement in Congress that there needs to be regulatory framework. There's just not agreement on how that.
So as is prediction markets, how much of it will be able to survive this scrutiny, let's say 2 years from now? What does it look like? Who's in charge? Who's regulating? Where's the oversight? Is the SEC?
I think it's going to be harder to regulate, to get agreement to regulate the predictions market, because just like with crypto and AI, everyone agrees something needs to be done. I think where we can have agreement is we can ban members of Congress and ban government employees from participating in it, and it's probably going to have to go further. You're going to have tight language where you can't even consult or give tips or anything like that.
It's the same language that exists for the SEC when it comes to publicly traded securities.
Exactly.
If you are someone who has inside information, you are bound to not trade that information or give it to anyone else and eventually benefit.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
We were joking earlier, I got the jacket on, but I'm still jacketless in my mind. And when you sat down, I said, just because it's called a slush fund doesn't mean that there aren't people entitled to lawfare retribution. And you said, I should run for Congress. But I can see the rationale, given the president's experience over the last decade or whatever it is. I can see ire, I can see being furious about things, but will the rest of the Senate and the House join in? Where does that? How do you?
That's
feel
a very controversial subject, as you can imagine. I have been a big critic of government weaponization. There are
on both
many
sides.
people.
On the previous stuff that they did to Trump, or on what he's doing
Well,
to
I think you go back several administrations. Now, Trump was special because he was weaponized. I mean, the lawfare from the different levels of court, all the frivolous lawsuits, the whole Russia hoax, that was a hoax. I mean, there was never any, today, there's no evidence that there was any type of Russian collusion.
There were 5 other situations, and he won all 7 six swing states.
Everything. So. You know, the tax evade, you know, the things they tried to convict him on was a joke. It was a joke. So I think that there is a need for it. What the president needs to do to be able to get this through is to explain it and have a plan. This is who's going to determine who gets compensated, because you're exactly right. There have been a lot of people that have lost everything they had in legal fees trying to defend themselves against an overzealous bureaucrat.
But it can't look like a slush fund that is handed out as political favors.
It got branded early slush fund, and that hurt.
And you're going to immediately take the other side will take it to the most extreme point, and that's J6 protesters that beat up or harmed or tried to harm Capitol Police. Should they be? And I've mentioned to you even the FBI informants that may have been involved beating up somebody.
But how did you feel about President Biden pardoning himself and his family members for?
I'm pretty vocal on that. That was not good. That was not good because he said he wasn't going to do it too.
Right, but it looks like it's self-dealing on both sides.
100%. Yeah, there's problems in both parties. There's problems with every administration. We do have what I consider a deep state with bureaucrats that abuse their power. They hide in the shadows. They're unelected. Many people don't know who they are. And they've inflicted huge financial damage on a lot of people. Their enemies, the people that they don't agree with. And there needs to be something. Hopefully the president can hit the reset on this and explain the guardrails. That's what we want. We want guardrails because we don't want to read about.
I know my friend Andrew. You got an audit question, Andrew? You're going there, right?
Well, we could talk about audits. I was just going to, on this particular topic, my question to the chairman is sort of longer term. How concerned are you, if this fund exists, that we will politicize this even more? Meaning, to the extent that Democrats come into power in the future at some point, whether they go after all these other things, create their own funds in the future, similar to this, to give out money to people. That's the longer. You talk about the sort of credibility long term of Washington and how politicized these things can be. There's a whole view right now, for example, that the administration, for political purposes, has gone after media companies, for example. Should they, in the future, be able to get some form of compensation back from the next president's fund if it's a Democrat? And I think that's the sort of longer, bigger piece of this.
Right. This is our money that you're playing.
And there was already one in the Obama administration for Native Americans informing and everything else. So.
There are several funds in the government now to pay for, as you said, agriculture, things, civil rights, things like that. So. The unfortunate thing about this, it wasn't rolled out very well, and no one understood, and the media and the liberals were quick to label it a slush fund, and that sounds really bad. So I think if the president comes out and says these are the guardrails, this is how it's going to be done. But you're exactly right. Your concern is well founded. It could very easily be abused, and most government programs eventually fall to some type of abuse. It's bizarre
because you hear both sides say, wait till we get back in power. Like the things that the Democrats are complaining about, and then they'll turn around and go on CNN and say, just wait till we're going to go after anyone who supported Trump. Yep, you're going to answer for, so you hear it from both.
That's right. It's a problem. Anytime you set up something, there are always unintended consequences. That's a big word in this town, unintended consequences.
Chairman, very quickly, Quinnipiac recently put out a poll that showed voters are not really fond of the Democrats at this point. I think their approval ratings are 20%. That's near all-time lows.
In men, God, it's like 2%.
But they like the Republicans less because the 50% of them said they would like to see the Democrats running Congress. 38% said Republicans. What do you do about that?
Well, I think we've got to continue to highlight what our policies are, what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the backs of the taxpayers. We're trying to reduce wasteful spending. We're trying to eliminate fraud. I think the Democrats want to spend more money and have a bigger welfare state and tax, kind of what you're going to see in New York City and some of these other cities with these far left-wing liberals that are getting elected. The Democrat Party's being hijacked by the socialist crowd. And I think if the voters realize that and understand what the future is going to look like with a Democrat-led Congress versus a Republican-led Congress, I think they'll vote Republican. Now, the American people are frustrated, obviously, with inflation, with oil prices and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think the president's focused and Republicans are focused on trying to make sure that we can do everything we can in this building to try to get prices down, and hopefully oil prices will be down by November.